So I'm out here in my backyard. I thought I'd change the scenery up a little bit, and just kind of wanted to take the 24-hour challenge to the next step and the next level and go a little bit deeper with it. I know a lot of us have the desire to build a relationship with God and kind of wonder, where do you even start? It's especially challenging because we're so physical. You know, everything around us we can audibly hear or visibly see or physically touch. And so when we sit down to try to work on our relationship with God, it's none of those things. And so our mind is conditioned to relate to everything through that physical, visible, and audio. And so when we have to actually hear with our heart, it becomes a challenge. And so, you know, I kind of want to just give a couple pointers, some things that have helped me to kind of begin to build that relationship. Definitely not where I want it to be. As I shared, you know, a couple days ago, just still really working on that, especially kind of reconnecting. But things that kind of always bring me back there. And the first one is just the clarity of my mind. You know, I find it's really hard to connect with God with my mind so full of clutter, of what I have to do today, accomplishments, things I need to do. Hey, buddy! Things that I need to take care of, you know. And even one of the reasons I talk so much about music is because I really believe that having our minds filled with music that's not glorifying to God or not positive, it makes it really hard for us to tune into God's voice. You know, it's kind of like a radio and the knobs, and we're tuning through. Well, you can't listen to two radios at once. It's impossible. You can't listen to two radio stations at once, rather. It just isn't going to happen. And so when we're tuning into all of this music that's counterproductive, that's not glorifying the things that the Bible would, we're watching these movies and filling our heads with all this stuff that's not the same radio station that God is trying to get us to listen to, it makes it very hard to tune into His station. And so I think kind of step one is to figure out how to clear your mind from all of that. For some of us, it might be just detoxing from media for a while. For me, I know that it's best for me to pray in the morning because it gives me a reset. I've just slept 8 hours. I don't have 100 things on my mind, and I'm able to just kind of tune into what He's saying. I think the next thing is just kind of the structure of our prayer. You know, the cool thing is in Matthew 6, verses 9 through 13, Jesus kind of gives us a template. And what He says in verse 9 is He says that when you pray, this is how you should pray. And, you know, it's a pretty crucial thing. If Jesus says this is how you should pray, that you might want to tune into the next set of Scripture, because He's basically saying, when you talk to me, this is how you should talk. You know, I can't help but think about my marriage. You know, the crux of marriage is figuring out how to communicate with husband and wife. And so many times Caitlin has said, listen, don't say it like that. This is what it sounds like. And teaches me how to communicate with her. And I do the same to her. And I think that's what God's doing here, is He's teaching us how to communicate with Him when Jesus gave us this instruction. And so I want to kind of go through the Lord's Prayer. Everybody knows it, but kind of break it down to help us understand how it can be applicable for us. You know, He's not saying that we need to talk like this or talk a certain way. He's saying, hey, here's a template. You can, just like a resume template, you just take your words, insert them into the same type of statement that I'm making, and kind of build your prayer life on that. Verse 9, the second part of verse 9, He says, Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. And what He's doing is He's praising. He's starting His prayer time off with worship and gratitude, thanking God for who He is, thanking God for what He's done, and honoring Him. And I think that's the best way that we could ever start off prayer or conversation with God, is just putting Him in His place. Reminding ourselves in Him that He is God, that we are man or we are woman, and that He is the all-knowing, all-powerful God, and worshiping Him for that. And that, with our open door into our prayer time, we're going to find that it's going to be very powerful. Then He comes in and He says, Your kingdom come, Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And what He's doing is He's making a statement of trust. So He's saying, God, listen, I give it over to You, Your will in my life. Show me what You want me to do today. Lead me in the way everlasting. I trust You so thoroughly, I want You to make my decisions. And so first He's starting off praising God, and then He's making the statement, God, I trust You completely. Do with my life what You will. Next He goes and He says, give us today our daily bread. And He's saying, listen, God, I need some things. There are some legitimate things in my life that I need You to take care of, and I'm asking You to do that. And He wants to. He says to come with prayer and petition about the things in our heart. If I clothe the flowers and I feed the birds, surely I'm going to take care of you. As a matter of fact, He said, I already know what you need before you ask. That's how much He cares about our needs. And so it's right and good to ask for the daily bread. But as Jesus shows us here, not without worshiping and trusting first. Then in verse 12, forgive us our debts as we've forgiven our debtors. He's immediately saying, now listen, ask for forgiveness. We all sin. He knows we sinned. Jesus didn't die so you had to be perfect. He died because He knew we wouldn't be. And so ask God to forgive you of whatever it is that you've done, and just let Him clear that slate out today. And then also giving forgiveness to others. That's such a crucial part. See, we can't understand the free forgiveness that He gives to us unless we also extend it out. And it's obviously an important part of our prayer time to clear our minds of that. And then lastly, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. You know, He's saying, ask God for strength. He's going to give you the strength to stand firm, to resist temptation, and to be the man and woman that God has called you to be. So I encourage you in those things, clear your mind, and really what I do is I take those 5 things, worship, trust, asking God of my needs, forgiving and being forgiven, and asking God for strength. And I just a lot of times structure my prayer time right after those 5 things and go one after the other. And before you know it, you'll realize you won't even need the template anymore, but it's a great foundation to start so that we can all have the relationship with God that we want. 24-hour challenge. Work on that relationship. Have a great day.